Let me ask you something. What do you think really separates a decent salesperson from a truly legendary one? Hint, it's not just about hitting quota. Today, we're diving into this really powerful idea: how to turn your role in sales from just a job into something more, a purpose-driven, fulfilling calling.
Okay, so let's break this down. On one side, you've got a job. It's transactional, right? It's about that paycheck, watching the clock tick down, and just closing the sale. But a calling, that's a whole different ballgame. That's transformational. It's fueled by passion. It's about listening to that inner voice. And your goal isn't just closing a deal, it's opening a real long-term relationship. One, pays the bills, but the other, that feeds your soul.
So, just for a second, be honest with yourself. When you think about your work, day in and day out, which side of this line do you find yourself on? Seriously, think about it. Your answer to that question is really the first step on this whole journey.
All right, so if you want to build that calling, you got to start with a rock-solid foundation. And in sales, that foundation is character. Now, I'm not just talking about being a nice person. We're talking about the strategic building blocks of trust and integrity that everything else, and I mean everything, gets built on. And here's why that foundation is just so incredibly critical. Get this. According to recent data, only 1 in 4 Americans actually sees salespeople as credible. 1 in 4. That is a huge trust problem. But look at it this way. For anyone willing to build that foundation, it's also a massive, massive opportunity to stand out from the noise.
So how do you stand out? It all comes down to integrity. But let's think about that word a little differently. Integrity isn't just some fluffy virtue. It is a powerful strategic advantage. It means you are committed, day in and day out, to making your actions line up with values that put the customer's needs first. Even when it's tough, and yeah, even if it means you might lose a sale.
We can actually break trust down into a simple formula. It's called the trust equation, and it's brilliant. It shows that trust comes from a few things. Credibility, that's do you know your stuff. Reliability, do you do what you say you're going to do? And intimacy, that's creating a safe space for the customer. But all of that great stuff gets divided by one crucial factor.
And that factor is self-orientation. Basically, how much are you focused on you versus them? The lower your self-orientation, the higher the trust. It's that simple. And this is exactly why that calling mindset is such a superpower, because it naturally forces you to focus on what's best for the customer, not what's best for your commission check.
Building trust is an inside job, but it's proven by what you do on the outside. And that brings us to this simple, powerful truth you've probably heard a million times. What gets measured gets done. This is where character turns into discipline. So this brings up a really important question for you. What are you actually measuring? See, most salespeople, they only track their outputs, the closed deals, the revenue. But the real pros, the ones with a calling, they measure their inputs, the number of calls, the follow-ups, the research. They focus on the consistent actions that they can actually control.
And this number right here just perfectly shows why that discipline is a game changer. A wild 44% of salespeople give up after just one follow-up call. Can you believe that? The top performers, they get that success is all about persistent, disciplined effort. It's not luck, it's a system.
Okay, so we've poured that foundation of character. It's solid. Now it's time to build the pillars that go on top: expertise and adaptability. This is where you really start to forge authority and learn to embrace innovation.
I absolutely love this quote because it just perfectly captures the expert mindset. Your customer isn't buying your product, they're buying the result your product creates. They don't want the drill, they want the hole in the wall. The second you shift your thinking to focus on that outcome, you stop being a salesperson and you start becoming a trusted advisor. So how do you actually make that shift? Well, it's basically a 3-step path. First, you have to completely master the return on investment of your product. You've got to speak the language of business results. Second, you have to become an expert in your customer's entire industry, not just your little piece of it. And third, you use all that knowledge to ask these digging deeper questions that help them see problems they didn't even know they had.
But look, expertise can get stale fast. To stay at the top of your game, you have to pair it with innovativeness. And let's be really clear here. This is not about buying the latest flashy software. It's a mindset. It's about continuous learning and a relentless drive to solve problems in creative ways.
And this is a classic mistake, the technology trap. The ineffective way is to buy some new tool and then try to jam your process into it. The effective, innovative way, you first identify a process that's broken or slow, and then you go find the right tech to fix that specific problem. Always process first, technology second.
So now, let's bring it all home. This last part is the synthesis, right? It's where we see how character, expertise, and adaptability all come together to create this powerful framework for truly living your vocation, not just working a job.
What's so amazing is that these principles are absolutely timeless. I mean, just look at the legends. Dale Carnegie taught us to make people feel important. That's intimacy. Joe Girard's relentless follow-up, that's a masterclass in discipline. Mary Kay Ash built a whole empire on just treating people well. And the great Zig Ziglar always said that sales is really just about helping other people. See, these aren't new ideas. They are enduring truths.
And the beautiful thing is, when you live by these truths, you're not just getting better at sales, you're building high-income skills that are basically recession-proof. The ability to communicate clearly, to proactively solve problems, and to have the resilience and grit to bounce back from a no, that's the foundation for lifelong career security and success no matter what you do.
So let's end on this one core idea. A calling isn't something you stumble upon or find one day. It's built. It's a conscious choice you make every single day with every single interaction. So the real question isn't whether you have a calling or not. The real question is, how are you going to start building yours?